Hello, everyone. Hold on one second here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tristar Gym channel. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about McGregor versus Cowboy. We're going to be breaking it down together. I'm going to give you guys my preliminary thoughts as usual. And then after that, I want to hear what you guys have to say about the fight. It was a very short fight, so we're probably going to have a very short review. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure the sound is perfect. If the sound is perfect, I'm going to get started right away. Okay, guys, an incredible performance by Conor McGregor. 40-second finish. Obviously, all of you have seen it. If you missed a fight, you went on YouTube and you were able to see the highlights. The whole highlight, the fight was a whole highlight. There was nothing to the fight but a highlight reel. There was no actual fighting. It was just a highlight. It was a Conor McGregor highlight reel. Another brilliant performance by Conor McGregor. What happened in the fight? He throws a big left, a giant left, the touch of death. He wasted no time, stepped in through the touch of death, and probably he threw it with more power than he's ever thrown in his career. Cowboy ducks, slips the shot, attempts a double leg, comes up short. He comes up in the clinch. McGregor's throwing those shoulder butts. He's got a deep whizzer. He's hitting with the shoulder, popping that shoulder on Cerrone's jaw and face. And you could tell that the shoulder butts hurt Cerrone. He started bleeding from the nose. That was the nose that was popped by Ferguson. Similarly, after round 2, he had kind of like a busted nose a few months ago. He pops it. McGregor hits it again and again. Maybe, I would say 3 or 4 shots. And you could tell Cerrone was hurt from those shoulder shots. They break the clinch. Cerrone backs up, throws a head kick. McGregor blocks it. He saw it coming. He was more than ready for that kick. He knows Cowboy's going to kick. Blocks it beautifully. Then he throws... McGregor throws his own powerful high kick. And you could tell that Cerrone was trying to kind of anticipate the left. He was kind of slip the left. McGregor goes up with the high kick. Hurts Cowboy bad. Goes in with a flurry. Flying knee, strike after strike. The referee giving Cerrone lots of time to try to recover and do something. But it was too little, too late. Cowboy was covering up. He seemed to have no offense, no intelligent defense. And McGregor scores a beautiful finish. Now, that was the play-by-play. Look, many people pick McGregor for this fight. It was a great comeback fight for him. Cowboy's lost his last few fights, and he's been stopped in his last few fights. McGregor's coming back from over a year off, and it seemed like a good comeback fight. Now that he's won this fight, there's so many possibilities. Now that he's gotten his momentum back, there is so many possibilities. But I want to tell you which part of the fight I like best. I understand that it was a great finish, and I understand that now McGregor's back on the map. But my favorite part of the whole fight was when McGregor went down and saluted Cowboy, gave him a hug, he gave him a kiss. He was polite to Cowboy. He was gracious to Cowboy. Even though he defeated him, he was gracious. He looked like a new Conor McGregor. He looked like a true fighter should be. Conor McGregor's martial arts skill, his fighting skill was always A1. And I've said it time and time again. But now he acted like a samurai. He behaved like a true samurai, which I loved, which I hope we see more of this Conor McGregor, because he was like that before the fight, after the fight, and then in the post-press conference, I heard a little bit of what he said. He seemed he seemed like he's in a good place. And that is very important because we love to watch Conor McGregor fight. Even I like to watch Conor McGregor fight. I know he's cursed me out in the past or whatnot. For me, that's all water under the bridge. I do love to watch him fight, especially if he has this type of attitude. You know, yeah, he knocked out Cowboy, but it didn't matter. Cowboy's a great human being. He's a great person, which, by the way, I got to hang out with him during the fight week. And, you know, he's a guy I've trained with in the past. He's such a great human being. I'm happy that Conor showed him respect after the fight. Because, let's be honest, Cowboy was also what makes this fight exciting. Cowboy versus Conor was such an exciting matchup. I would want to watch it again. Who knows what happens if they run it back. Because we know Cowboy is so crazy. He's such a great fighter. I love to see him get the respect he deserves. He's been around forever. He was WEC, fought for the WEC title. He fought for the UFC title. This guy's been around forever. He's fought everybody. He's fought the who's who. Sometimes he had great performances. Sometimes he had a bad performance. But one thing is for sure, he's a legend of the sport. I was happy to see Conor give him the respect he deserves. Okay, guys, there's not much to the fight. I told you guys the quick rundown, how I saw it. Conor is just too much. Conor is at his prime. Conor was just way too much for Cowboy. this past January 18th, last Saturday. I want to hear your comments and questions. Tell me what you guys thought. Masvidal or Gaethje next? Well, listen, both fights are super interesting. I think the fans will be happy with both fights, and so would I. Conor wins again. I don't want to watch it again. If you're talking to Cowboy and McGregor, no, I'm not talking about an immediate rematch. No, absolutely not. Don't misunderstand me. I'm saying, look, Cowboy might come back and have a tear. He might win 3-4 fights in a row, and then maybe they fight again. But all I'm saying, I wasn't trying to say there should be a rematch. Okay, far from it. All I'm saying is they're two exciting fighters. Whenever you have two exciting fighters, we're always happy to see them fight. It wasn't gonna be a lay and pray, a points thing. It wasn't gonna be a judges fight. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that fans are always welcoming Cowboy, and they're always welcoming a McGregor fight. And the two together, it's even more exciting. That's what I was trying to say. Let Cowboy come back, rest, come back, win a few fights, and who knows who will be matched up with. Conor is not that good. Good striker, but nothing special. That's from Eduardo. No, Eduardo, I have to disagree with you. He is a phenomenal striker. He's supremely special. He's arguably the best striker in UFC right now, and probably arguably one of the best strikers ever to do it. So I would totally disagree with you. Okay, he's a phenomenal striker. People keep saying that about him because they don't like his brash attitude. But we got to be honest. We got to divorce ourselves from the fighter's skill and the person. All right. Now, look, personally, I feel like Conor's turned a new leaf, which I really like. So I'm not going to say anything about his personality. I'm not saying anything negative. In the past, yes, I've come on here and I've said he's a horrible, after he punched that old man, I came out here and I cursed him out for you. And if he does it again in the future, believe me, I'll stand up to you to that again. But he came back. He made it right. He's fixing it with the guy. He apologized for his actions. I said, look, water under the bridge. I'm not going after the guy anymore personally. But throughout his whole career, I always told you guys he's an incredible fighter. Okay, I coined the term touch of death. I truly believe the guy's a very talented striker. If he wasn't a good striker, why does he keep winning? The thing is, the reason why people like Eduardo always say he's not a good striker is because they don't. I think it's because they don't like his personality. But you got to divorce yourself from that. The man is a phenomenal striker. And look, he does look like he's turned a new leaf, and I hope he has. Coach, you keep cutting off. Well, I hope that's not true because I got everything lined up right. So maybe it's your feed. Conor looked amazing. I would agree. He did look amazing. And he looked really good at 170. Very muscular, beautiful sprawl. When Cowboy shot that double leg, you saw that McGregor instantly sprawled. I mean, obviously he's been working his wrestling defense. No brainer. Of course, they're all working their wrestling defense, but it translated well at 170. He looked really good. Hey, Coach, what do you think about a trilogy with Nate next? Much love from Italy. That's from Gianluca. Gianluca, I love that idea. I think him fighting Nate Diaz again at 170 or 155. Either way, it doesn't bother me. Even a catchweight 165. Why not start a new title, a new belt, a new championship title? Super lightweight, 165. Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. I would tune in. I think a 5-rounder with a belt on the line to settle this epic trilogy fight would be phenomenal. I would love to see that fight. I think it's a great possibility. Conor is a genius. We rarely see people use their shoulder. That was beautiful. That's from Matui. Yes, I agree. It was a great strike. We have seen it in the past. However, in a high-profile fight like that, he did it at the right time, right moment, and I felt that it was a good way to surprise Cowboy. And I think he actually hurt Cowboy quite badly, more than people think. Because after you see when they broke away from the clinch, you could see Cowboy's nose already, like it was bleeding, it was inflamed. I'd have to rewatch it again, but that's what I remember seeing after they broke. I remember seeing Cowboy's face and it didn't look good. Like it looked like he got hit hard. Love from Bulgaria. Thank you, Rumen. Appreciate it. Is Usman a tougher challenge than Khabib? That's from Sean. It's hard to say. It's very, very hard to say. Of course, Usman is bigger, but Khabib's just got something very special to him. When he gets people on the ground, he's relentless. I'm not sure how good Usman is on the ground. I think he's very good on the ground, but I don't know at what level. Whereas Khabib, I'm fairly certain he's like elite black belt level. So it remains to be seen. But very interesting fight either way. Your opinion on Conor's grappling after last fight? That's from Arsa Black. Arsa, there was no grappling. The fight finished on the ground, but Conor was kind of in a crouched position throwing punches. No grappling. So, I mean, there was some grappling. If you're going to call the sprawl grappling, he looks really sharp. Because, wrestling is grappling as well. It's a type of grappling. So if you're talking about his powerful sprawl, I think it was very well executed. Hey, coach, did Conor retain his touch of death at 170? The mind of Ray Ray. Mind of Ray Ray, black belt member here. Well, Ray Ray, I would tell you that I think yes, especially the way he threw it at Cowboy's head, even though he didn't connect with that shot. I thought it would have been lights out if he did. So I think the touch of death is still there at 170. Why was Conor's first punch so sloppy? That's from Parham. I don't think it was sloppy. I think he just super committed. And he wasn't worried about any return fire from Cowboy. So I think it was just it was part of his plan, just to lay him out right away. He's confident he can hit him from right distance, move his head out of the way if anything comes. It was just a very confident left hand. I don't think it was sloppy. I would love to see McGregor fight Wonderboy one day. That's from Bruce Banana. I would agree. That would be a great fight. Blind spot, Cerrone, diving master. Okay, so a lot of people now are asking if Cerrone took a dive. That was from Blind Spot. Blind Spot is saying that Cowboy is the master of taking dives. Well, Blind Spot, I'll tell you, these fights are 100% real. 100% real. And I don't think Cowboy would take a dive. He has nothing to gain from taking a dive, even if they paid him $1 million. Let's imagine, that's for fun, okay? Because this totally didn't happen, and I can guarantee you it didn't happen. I was there in the locker rooms. I was in the building, okay? Imagine somebody gives Cerrone $1 million to take a dive. You're gonna go in there in the first. You're gonna take a punch, and you're not gonna come back up. Kind of like how you've seen the movies. I would guarantee you that in Cowboy's mind, he thinks, hey, if I beat McGregor, I'll make more than $1 million. Like, just beating McGregor will make you such a mega star. You'd be so famous. Everybody would know your name. So there's no real amount of money. They'd have to jack it up to a ridiculous amount. And then if you pay Cowboy, because Cowboy, we don't call him Cowboy because he's a very easy guy to predict. Cowboy might take your money and still try to win the fight. It's just, it would be a crazy thing to try to even attempt to fake a fight in UFC, especially with Cowboy, because Cowboy, we call him Cowboy because we never know what he's going to do. He's just crazy. He's a little bit nuts. So we don't know if he's going to shine that night. We don't know if he's going to fall that night. We don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's thinking in his head. He's a very unpredictable human being. So he's not the type of guy that would be a secure bribery. Okay, and I can assure you, I know these guys personally. I've trained with them. I know these fights are 100% real. I know a lot of people are saying that it's fake and whatnot. And I think it's because Nate Diaz tweeted, oh, this is fake. And Nate Diaz knows better than everybody else that these fights are 100% real. Okay, he was just riling people up. Okay, nothing was fake about that fight. It was 100% real. What else we got here? What else we got here? Dana's pushing the rematch with Khabib. What do you think, coach? That's from Sem. I think I think McGregor needs to win a couple more fights. I think he needs to maybe fight like a top 5 guy. Somebody who's on a win streak. Because let's be honest, Cowboy's a great fighter, but he's on a losing streak. He got stopped twice in a row. This is the 3rd time he gets stopped in a row. He fought 4 times in 2019. This was like, his body went through the grinder. And there's a lot of guys right now that are on win streaks that probably deserve a shot at the title. Again, I also understand that Khabib is not interested in fighting McGregor for this very reason. He feels like, hey, you're getting title shots because of star power and not because of, earned win streak. And that's how Khabib is. He's very true to his word. He's always been a man of principle. So I don't think that match is going to happen anytime soon. Unless Conor wins 2 more fights at least. It would have to be 2 more fights against top competition. And of course the UFC is going to push for it because, he's a big draw. And he might get it. They might twist Khabib's arm. They might make him an offer he can't refuse. All I'm saying, from what I hear from Khabib not personally. What he said online is that, look, he's got to beat somebody really, really key. Which I understand, which I think is ultimately in the long run the best, because I believe Conor can beat top 5 opponents. Absolutely. So why not do it? It'll build up the mega fight even more if Conor wins 1 or 2 more. And he can. Obviously, he can win 1 or 2 more. The guy's a very talented fighter. He's been champion in 2 weight classes. There's nothing to stop him from winning 2 more fights, except if he's not good enough to win them. And then again, the fans wouldn't want to see that fight. So in my opinion, he can win those fights. He can do them. A possible fight between Khabib by the end of the year wouldn't be out of the question, in my opinion. However, I'm sure because of the popularity of Conor McGregor, it'll be pushed for even earlier. Do you agree with the experts saying that Masvidal is too big for Conor? That's from Ray Ray. No, Ray Ray, I don't agree with that. I think that he has such a powerful KO record. Look at his record. KO after KO after KO after KO. When you got the touch of death, size, it matters. Don't get me wrong, size matters, but it matters a little less. Actually, a lot less. So it wouldn't surprise me if he can have a great fight with Masvidal. I don't know who would win. If that fight gets booked, we'll do a full breakdown. I'll go back and review their fights and kind of like give you guys my full breakdown. However, I do feel that Conor has the reach and the skill to hang at 170. I wouldn't be surprised if that matchup happens. Okay, guys, there was not much to this fight, so I just want you guys to give me a last few comments, and then let's move on to another topic. How long we have here? Oh, it's only been 20 minutes, but again, the fight was 40 seconds. There's not much that much to break down. Was the fight rigged? No, it wasn't. 165 weight class, a good idea. I think Diaz should fight McGregor. 165, new title on the line. That would be, as a fan, speaking as a fan, that would be something I would love to see. What else we got here? All right, guys. I think we've pretty much covered this fight. Let's open it up to anything else. A quick thank you to my sponsors, jujiclub.com, up there on your screen right now. I just released today my new butterfly guard video, dynamic butterfly guard. Check it out. Go to jujiclub.com, pick it up. It is like a 3-hour seminar condensed into a 40-minute video. Lots of details on how to sweep, submit, and attack your partner from butterfly guard. I also show a few solo drills in the video that are super important to generating power. Make sure to check out my latest video that was just released now, 5 minutes ago. My button pusher friend of mine put it up maybe about 20 minutes ago, and it is now live. So pick it up. Thank you to Gym Kings clothing sponsor, timtam.tech. Make sure to pick up your Tim Tam. Get the Power Pro, the Tim Tam Pro. It's the only gun in the world with heat, high-powered massager with heat. There is no high-powered massager in the world with this much travel, this much power, and also heat. #1 massager in the world. And it's also a special thank you to Monster Energy drink, sponsor of this channel. Super. Thank you very much for the support. Love Monster Energy drink. Okay, guys. What else is up? We're going to keep this probably a little bit shorter than usual because I have to run to practice at 5 o'clock. I have to be in the car at 5. So I will ask you guys to shoot me your questions. Okay, guys. All right, what else we got here? Tony versus George for BMF title. Thoughts? That's from Megulo. Ferguson's got a title shot now with Khabib. If he wins that, I would love to see him fight Masvidal for the BMF title. I think the BMF title is not going to go away. I actually like the title. I actually like it because you can do exactly that. You can take a 155er and a 170er and say, let's meet at 165. Even though there's no 165 weight division, the UFC kind of has this new freedom to make very exciting and new interesting matchups, because that's what we need, especially when the top 5 kind of looks like it did last year. Yes, there's been some changes, but this is the 5th time Khabib and Ferguson get matched up together. The 5th time. Now, for those of you who don't know, 4 times it fell through. 2 times because of Khabib, 2 times because of Ferguson. This is the 5th time they are booked. I've never seen two fighters be booked 5 times. I've never seen it. So this matchup has been around for a long time. And what happens sometimes, you have the same guys in the top 5. But if you have this belt that's in between 2 categories, you can have these cool and exciting matchups. Kumara versus GSP. That's the White Wolf. Listen, I got to hang out with Kumara last week, and he asked me the same thing. He said, look, I want to fight George. I said, look, keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully it happens. Who knows? Time will tell. Lots of things going on in the back scene, and I try not to pay too much attention to that. Let the managers manage, let the UFC's promoters promote, and let the chips fall where they may. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, though, even though I think Usman is interested in the fight, but he has also a lot of fights to win. Also, he's defended his title once. Congratulations on that win. Brilliant fight. I told him, hey, that was a phenomenal win. Keep it up. You're looking great. But he has to defend the title a few more times, in my opinion. And who knows? Maybe that leads to a mega fight. What else we got here? Coach, who's the faster striker? Conor or Masvidal? That's from Khalid Mas. I think they're both good on speed. They're both good on speed, but I wouldn't be surprised if McGregor even has a longer reach. Or at least I would say he fights longer. But they're both very blessed with speed. What do you think about Conor saying Khabib versus Ferguson won't happen? That's from Mercy Hale. Mercy, I don't know. I didn't hear the Conor say that. I'm not sure. I didn't. I don't know why he would say that. But listen, if either one of them falls out, what do you think's going to happen? Conor's going to petition for the spot. So if Khabib is injured for whatever reason, I would be shocked if UFC doesn't put McGregor in that spot. He'd have to make the weight. He'd have to be near the weight. Of course, I think it's probably in the back of his mind. Who knows? That fight has fallen. Like we said earlier, we're talking. How many times have you guys brought it up to me? Everybody, it's been booked 4 times, and 4 times it got canceled. And every time it got canceled, I got a ton of messages saying, people basically crying over it. Everybody wants to see this fight. I'm always getting messages about, for the last few years, hey, the fight got canceled. The one fight we wanted to see. And well, look, they're fighting for the title now. It's booked April. If it falls through, don't text me 1,000 times telling me it fell through. I'll have heard. Okay. McGregor's a sure candidate to slip in there and fight for the title. So it would be wise for him to stay close to the weight, time himself to be ready. Because if one of those guys gets injured, I'm pretty sure the first phone number they're going to dial is Conor McGregor. Okay, what else we got here? Tyrone versus Leon Edwards. Who wins? That's from Prakul. Prakul is asking Tyrone versus Leon Edwards. That's a fight I'm very interested to see, actually. Leon Edwards is a very talented guy. Undervalued, I would say. He's such a phenomenal fighter, but a lot of fans don't know him yet. Or at least I should say that he's not as known as he should be. He's underrated, underestimated, but he's a phenomenal fighter. He just hasn't had that main event breakthrough super win, colossal win in front of everybody, so everybody can really know his name. So he becomes a household name. But he's on his way. In my opinion, this could be the fight if he beats Tyrone Woodley in a spectacular fashion. And he does it in a way that the American fans see. Because I know, Leon Edwards has been fighting, obviously, in London. He's from London. But he needs a mega win in front of the American audience. And he's fought in front of the American audience, of course. But he needs to have a mega win. And that can generate a popularity that will rival Masvidal. He just needs that mega win. What else we got here? Coach, Conor and Jorge have this exact same reach. That's from Verukt. Varuk, well, I didn't check it out. If you're telling me that's a fact, I believe you. Just one thing, when the UFC measures reach, they don't do it like I've seen them do it. They kind of put the guy against the wall. Sometimes the guy's not against the wall, and just some guy comes over with a measuring tape. It's not done super professionally. Okay, it's done kind of like in passing, real quick, and they don't want to bother the fighters too much. And that's why if you look at fighters, watch carefully. Go to Fight Pass. Watch five fights from the same fighter and look at the reach. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes they say 65. Sometimes it says 66. Sometimes they'll say 64. It's like, how did the guy shrink? Did the guy get taller? No, it's the guy who's measuring. He didn't do it exactly the same way he did it the first time. Or the fighter would just get, because I've seen them do it. They ask the fighter, hey, can you spread your arms? And the guy does this. Well, there was, if you really push his arms out, he can get a few extra inches. But maybe the elbows were flexed or whatnot. The way to measure reach, you have to do it up against the wall, and you have to make sure that the fighter is giving you the full extent of his reach. And that's why when you look at statistics, UFC statistics from fight to fight, they change. Okay, obviously weight will always change, but height and reach should never change. Height and reach should always be the same, but it's not. So I don't put too much in that. In my opinion, if their reach is the same, which is not unlikely, Conor fights longer. He fights at the end of his reach. Whereas Masvidal is more of a step in and fire away. He doesn't fight from afar. He doesn't fight from a long distance. He doesn't use every inch of his reach. He's more of a guy who's going to slip his way in. He's going to zigzag his way in. And then when he gets close to you, he's going to throw a powerful shot. Okay, where Conor's far more measured. Is Oleinik possibly the greatest heavyweight grappler? Okay, that skipped, so I didn't get the question from who it was. I don't know if he's the greatest heavyweight grappler. Maybe he's the greatest heavyweight finisher, grappling finisher. But grappling to me is a lot about control, not just finishes. Yes, he's had some nice subs, but who's he subbed? We have to ask who he subbed. He hasn't subbed anybody in the top five, at least not to my memory. Okay, he's a great fighter, great submission artist. However, until he subs somebody of prestige and does it and shows an incredible amount of control on the ground, I can't say he's the best grappler. Because for me, grappling is not necessarily just finishes. Hey, coach, do you think is better pound for pound Marcelo Garcia or Gordon Ryan? That's from Ali K. Ali K is asking me, coach, who do you think is better? Marcelo Garcia or Gordon Ryan, pound for pound? That's a very tough question. You're putting me in a very, very tough position. Too hard to say. Honestly, just too difficult. Just too difficult to say. But honestly, that would be a dream matchup. But honestly, just too difficult to say. Ali K, that's a great question. And there's not many questions I get stumped on and don't have an answer for. But that one is one of those where I just couldn't make up my mind. Have you started working with Johnny Walker yet? Do you believe he can become champion? That's from Closing on Closure. Well, Closing on Closure, I just had my first session with him this morning, and I'm going back tonight to train him again. So yes, Johnny Walker is training at the gym. Can he become champion? Like I say to all my fighters, you all can become champion. It's the amount of time and energy and sacrifice you put in the game. Now, that being said, for those of you who don't know, I never talk about the fighters I train with on this channel because I find it to be unprofessional. A lot of them wouldn't like their personal or their preparations be put out in public. I totally respect that. So that's why I rarely ever speak about the fighters that I train. I avoid it at all costs. So with that said, my first training with him was today. So officially he's training with me now. So I can no longer comment on his preparations or his past fights or future fights. Okay, so it's all confidential. Does Conor have more power than George? That's from M8. Listen, I think his left hand, he's got more power in his cross. His punching power, I would say, ultimately is greater. And we just see that by his KO pedigree. Look at his KO. Look at Conor. Go to Tapology. Go to Sherdog.com. Type in Conor McGregor. Find his record. And you're going to see KO, 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 decision, KO, 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 loss, decision, KO, KO. It's just There's another loss in there somewhere. There's a couple. Listen, he's had 4 losses in his career, but you get what I'm saying. He's KO'd a lot of people. He's KO'd a lot of people, a lot more than Masvidal. Masvidal's a great fighter, but he has not accomplished the KOs, as many KOs as McGregor did. McGregor's in the top 1% of KO artists in MMA history. I wouldn't say that Masvidal's up there. That doesn't mean he's not a better fighter. Just because you're a great submission guy or a KO guy or you're great endurance doesn't mean because you're the best at something you're going to win the fight. But if you're asking me who's the better finisher in strikes, look, statistically, there's just no argument. Conor McGregor finds the KO more often than probably anybody in the UFC history. Olenek versus DC. Who poses a greater HR threat in terms of grappling ability? I would say, look, that's a great example of what I was saying earlier. Olenek is a very good submission artist, finisher, but I don't think he finishes DC. I think DC has more grappling years and higher level of grappling. Just because he's from wrestling doesn't mean, it's not grappling. Wrestling's a type of grappling. Judo's a type of grappling. You have more years in DC, more higher levels of competition, more years of preparation. I would say DC out-grapples him. I don't think he finishes DC. Now, it's not impossible. Heavyweight fighting, especially, you get hit by a punch, you get choked right after that. It's not unlikely. All I'm saying is I don't think he finishes DC. I think, ultimately speaking, DC's a better grappler. And that's a great example of just because you sub people, because DC doesn't sub people, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have superior control. And superior control, I would take superior control over submission. Even though I believe you have to blend the two. I think they're both super important. I don't try to separate either one. I always include both. Sometimes I focus more on control. Sometimes I focus more on finishing. But ultimately, you should be amazing at both. And they're very different in their grappling styles. DC never goes for subs, almost never. And he's really a control guy. Whereas Olenek sub attack, and loses control. Sometimes he loses position. How did a toe kick hurt Cowboy? That's from you what M8. Again, listen, a lot of you posted this question. How did McGregor's toes hurt Cowboy? Because what they're trying to say, for those of you who don't know, is a lot of people asking me this question all the time. Like, they're saying, look, Cowboy's chin got clipped by the toes of McGregor. Listen, guys, you've never been kicked in the head. Trust me. Listen, how about this? If you guys want to read a really interesting book, read The Physics of Throwing a Pitch. And physicists comment on the biomechanics of a pitch. When you throw a pitch, the ball, as soon as you release it, starts to slow down. That's what they say, okay? They say, look, the ball doesn't have wings. As soon as you release it, it starts to fall to the ground and it starts to slow down. And they're saying, look, there's this kinetic chain. It's a very interesting book, by the way. There's a bunch of physics of superheroes, etc. So it's really interesting stuff. So these physicists are writing books of, let's say Superman did exist. What would the physics be? What would the math be? And, they go over once upon a time, one character was falling and Superman kind of swoops down and saves her. Well, what would have happened really if he did that? She would have died in his arms. Why? Because X, Y, Z, these are the physics that would have occurred. The pitcher, the fastest part of his body is actually his fingertips. So his leg, he first throws his leg, then he throws his hip, then he throws his abdomen, then the torso, then the elbow, then each part of the connect chain is going faster and faster until the ball is released by the fingers. And that last whip is actually traveling the fastest. And that last whip, if you measure that last whip, you know how fast the ball is going to go. And as soon as it's released, it starts to slow down. All this to say is that the end of the lever is traveling faster than the mid part of the lever. So those toes, even though they're very light, because they're being accelerated at such a fast speed, it can hit you and create a shockwave. If you don't believe me, fly down to Tristar Gym. I'll stand you up and I'll give you a little kick on my toes. And I'll go faster and faster. And you can be like, hey, whoa, that hurts. Exactly my point. If you're kicked at high speed, and even it's just the end of the foot, the instep that touches you, it's like getting hit with a real punch, a hard punch, because the foot is traveling far faster than the rest of the leg. It's the end of the lever. Okay, so keep that in mind. John Gleason, how do you put up with dumb questions? John, you know what? They're not dumb. I think some people are just being honest. They don't know. They're questioning. It's okay. They're not experienced in fighting. But that's why I always give them the example. Okay, let me do it to you. You're going to be like, hey, wait a second. You want to kick me in the face? Yeah, but I'm just going to use my toes. And then they start to double think. But because they weren't put in the fire, but that's the thing about fighting. People don't understand. These guys are actually getting in there to do it. You start thinking differently when you're actually doing it. So it's just, I don't think it's a dumb question. I think it's some people are being honest. Some people are trolling, but 99% of people I think are just being honest. They want to know, hey, when you get kicked, you didn't get kicked with a full shin or the full instep. Like, how does it really hurt? It does hurt. It does. And you know what? You wouldn't know that it hurts unless you have experience. And some people just don't have experience. Now, I'll tell you a very interesting story, okay? When I was training back in the day, I was going to college and we would sit down. The guys would talk about fighting. And of course, I had my opinions because I was heavily in the game. And one of my friends, actually a good friend of mine, he would tell me that head kicks don't work. And I'm like, well, head kicks happen all the time. He's like, no, it'll never work. Like, this is like, I'm talking many years ago. And he was telling me, look, head kicks don't work. In a street fight, you would never head kick. That makes no sense. And he was a tough guy. He'd been in street fights. Like, I know who he is. And I was like, no, you can absolutely head kick. People don't head kick in a street fight because 99% of them, they're not trained to kick. They're just guys who boxed a little or guys who never fought before. I go, head kicks totally happen. And this is before the giant YouTube boom where there's 1,001 street fights where people get kicked in the head. And he was like, no. He was kind of dismissing me. I was like, hey, why don't you come to the gym? So we decided to spar. And he was out on the mat. I kind of revived him. And he asked me, what happened? I said, you got kicked in the head, because we had sparred. We said, you want to spar? Let's spar. We put on the gloves. He's a tough guy, very tough guy. He thought he was going to kill. He thought he was going to have his way. And then a few seconds later, he's waking up. And he was asking, what happened? I was like, well, you got kicked in the head. And he's like, I got kicked in the head. I'm like, yeah, you got kicked in the head. How did that happen? Well, I lifted my leg and I kicked you. You thought you couldn't happen. You weren't looking for the kick. You thought I was going to punch you. But kicks happen. And believe me, I gave him a little love kick, little tight, little touch. But sometimes, man, you just go out. You get hit at the right spot, you go out. Do you agree with Stephen A. Smith that Cowboy quit? I don't know who Stephen A. Smith is. That's from Chris Bowman. Listen, I think he got hurt. After he got kicked to the face, he got kneed. He threw a flying knee. It was partially blocked, but still rings. And then he got 4 or 5 left hands that I think hurt him bad. I don't think he quit. I think he got stopped. There was nothing for him to do. He really got hurt. And the referee gave him as much time as necessary. I thought it was stopped a little bit late. And again, I'm not nitpicking on the refereeing. The refereeing was very good. I just think that, look, they gave him every chance in the book. Like, if they gave him more time than that, if the referee gave him more time than that, it would have been crazy. The referee gave him plenty of time, and he didn't recover, and the fight was over. And I don't think he quit. I think he just got stopped, man. He just got hit hard. Thanks for the garlic pills tips on Embedded series. That's from Jason. Yes, that's right, my friends. 2 garlic pills a day. Listen, for those of you who don't know, wintertime, especially those of you who live in a winter climate, take those garlic pills. Go to the pharmacy. Get garlic. The odorless pills. Take 2 a day. Every day. I swear by it. It's amazing. Garlic is incredible. Read the research on the benefits of garlic. Garlic is incredible. And it doesn't smell bad. Okay, so if you get it in pill form, take 2 garlics a day and make sure you don't get sick. It'll help you protect you from getting sick. Those shoulder shots broke his nose and his eye was swollen. That's from Dustin. I totally agree. Totally agree. That's how I remember it. I watched it twice. And look, Gaethje hurt Cowboy. And of course, that massive elbow from Ferguson broke Cowboy's nose. And then Cowboy blew his nose after the round and his eye popped. And that was not too many moons ago, that he got stopped twice. So I think the Ferguson fight was like 8 months ago, let's say 7 months ago. Then he got his nose broken 3 months later. And now 4 months later, he gets hit again. Like, it's just too much tax. The body's been taxed too many times, hit in the same spot too many times. And he's not getting hit by small strikers. He's getting hit by the biggest strikers in the game on a regular basis. So it doesn't surprise me there's compound damage. Would you train at Desinya? Yes, absolutely. That's from that question is from Milo Man. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to work with him. I think he's a phenomenal talent. What else we got here? I'm really happy you don't know who Stephen A. Smith is. That's from Nick Hill. Should I look him up? Stephen A. Smith. All right. Let me look up who this gentleman is. Stephen A. Smith. Oh, this is a broadcaster. Stephen A. Smith is an American sports personality, sports radio host, sports journalist, actor. Smith is a commentary on ESPN First Take, where he appears with Max Kilman. Okay, no, I've heard his voice. I know who he is. I didn't know him by name. This guy doesn't know much about fighting. I've heard him talk in the past, man. This guy just doesn't know much about fighting. All due respect, I think he's never fought in his life. He's no experience in combat sports. He's just a commentator, and I think I think his persona is to be a little bit brash and say crazy things maybe once in a while. But Cowboy didn't quit. Cowboy is far tougher than Stephen A. Smith. Okay, I'll put that on the line anytime. Okay, Cowboy is a much tougher human being. McGregor is just throwing crazy shots out there. You know, he's a powerful guy throwing hard shots. That's what happens. What happened? Oh, here we go. Let's see what else we got here. All right, what else we got here? You're getting late for work. Oh, thank you for that reminder. It is 4:49, 4:59. Who just saved me right now? Who just saved me? Umar Sheikh, you are the man. Thank you for paying close attention. I do have to leave. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. Like, share, and comment as always. Highly appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning into this episode, and I will see you all in the next. Thank you.